Smitty, I have a question for you. When's the next Moon Man dropping, Smitty?
The answer to that question is right now, pal. We're dropping a Moon Man extraordinaire right in front of your face, and his name's Calvin Ridley. And we're going to induct him into the Moon Man Hall of Fame circa 2023. And it all begins right now. We're talking JSN, Travis Etienne, little Burrow update, little Dalvin Cook talk, little Breece Hall, calming of the storm, the fantasy football show. Calvin Ridley edition begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever
from the
news
FantasyFootballShow.com news desk. Here is your breaking news.
Well, looky here, reindeer. Looky here. We've got a Moon Man extraordinaire on the screen. I give you the newest Moon Man, the guy replacing Kadarius Toney, who we still love. We'll put him on the satellite man list. We're still going to monitor the guy. Look, we reserve the right to change the Moon Men around until the season kicks off. Okay? This is not something that has to be stapled in place or cemented in. We're tweaking a little bit here and there. We don't take people off very often. We don't just absolutely mix it all around and just throw mud at the wall. But Calvin Ridley, welcome to the Moon Man list, young man.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Look at this beautiful man sitting on screen. Look at him. Look at him. Out for revenge. On that note, we have also a Revenge Tour edition. Ladies and gentlemen, Revenge Tour, it's here.
It's time for some revenge, baby. Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour.
Look at this. We'll make it look nice and pretty later. But right now, we've got Calvin Ridley. We're going to put him on there. Let's put his name on there out of respect. Calvin Ridley is a part of the Revenge Tour 2023. And I'm excited about it. You're excited about it. Now we can play this little intro with him involved. We'll clean this up and we can clean it up now, I guess. Clean it up and make it look real nice and presentable. Let's hit it one more time with the respect it deserves now that he's on there officially. I didn't have this part prepared. Let's go back. Camera one, please. Hey, Bob. Put camera one on. Thank you, Bob. Let's go to Revenge Tour one more time. Revenge Tour. Let's roll. It's time for revenge, baby.
Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour. Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour.
That's right. You're looking at a man that's promised on his kids that he's going to get, 1,400 yards? The man literally promised on his kids. I don't know. I mean, some will say that's questionable character. That's fine. You do you. You do what you want. Complain all you want. Be one of those negative Bobs, those negative Neds out there. Do what you want. I respect the man for saying, on my kids, I'm getting 1,400 yards, whatever I think it was 1,350, 1,300. This man's out for revenge. And you know what? I feel ashamed of myself right now that it's taken this long for him to crack my Moon Man list, to be quite frank with you. Watching him run routes right now is like watching poetry on the field. This guy is so electric looking right now. And I think if you watch him and you're not on board at this point, I mean, I just think there's something about him coming back that you just can't wrap your head around, and you're worried about injury. But when you watch him on the field, he absolutely looks monstrous, electric, quicker than every wide receiver out there. And so quick, I worry he's going to tear something. He's running out there at light speed. And I just don't understand how he's not going to... He's going in the third round. He's locked into the third round. And I wouldn't be surprised if he climbed to the very top of round 3. You got Joe Burrow inching his way down. You got Breece Hall inching his way down. And naturally, some guys are going to climb. I wouldn't be shocked if he was going to the very top of round 3, walking into mid-August. Calvin Ridley, I'm so excited about T-Law. You guys know that.
Law Dog Milk for mains on sale this season. Soak your mane and win a league. Law Dog Milk. A lion lives among us, posing as half man, half lawman. His golden mane is reportedly 6 feet long and is bathed in milk.
That's right.
His marvelous mane grows longer with each breath he takes. Legend has it that if you say T-Law in the dark in the bathroom 3 times, you lose your league instantly. Conspiracy fanatics have linked his triangle bone structure to the ancient pyramids and alien theory.
I'm so excited about not only Trevor Lawrence, but the combination of Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. The combination of these two men that are just coming together to just make glory on the field. Just make absolute glory together, hand in hand. Bros going out there and saying, you want to score 15 touchdowns, Calvin Ridley? I got 40 to dish out. Here you go. Just like these right here. This is about what it feels like, okay? Picture Trevor Lawrence. These are touchdowns. Who wants some? Calvin Ridley, you want 15? There you go. Kirk, how many you want, Kirk? Kirk wants 10. Kirk wants 10. Oh, there you go. Okay, Ingram, let's give you 8. We might have more left over, okay? Let's give you 8. There you go. Ingram, you got 8. Who else want ETN? Last year you didn't get enough. Let's give you last year's this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll give you 5 receiving. We'll hit you in on the ground as well. I still got leftovers. This is what it's going to be like for the Law Dog walking into 2023. And anybody that wants to say Trevor Lawrence isn't coming for blood, I can't wait. Leave your receipt on screen. I'll drag it on. We can timestamp this bad boy. We can put this in the vault. We're 7 minutes and 29 seconds into the show. All you Law Dog haters out there, Calvin Ridley haters, drop your receipt on screen now or in the comments, and I'll throw it on screen so we have it timestamped. And then I'm going to have Ron Navy plug this into his elephant brain memory bank that is like a zip drive. And Ron Navy's going to know exactly how to pull it up when we need to pull it up. So go ahead and come in. Drop your hate. Your T-Law's not going to do it. T-Law, go ahead and bring it in. Drop it on screen. Let's receipt that son of a B. Law Dog's dishing out touchdowns all day long. This man, all he has to do is consume a portion of them. He's going to get 10 plus touchdowns. Could be a 13, 14 touchdown season for Calvin Ridley. We need to remember something, ladies and gentlemen. We had this guy on the rise to be a top 1 to 5 wide receiver before his little departure and rapture from the NFL. Let's be very, very clear. This man was a top 1 to 5 wide receiver at one point. And we've been a little sloppy. Smitty's been sloppy. Poppy's been sloppy. You all have been sloppy. You know, maybe a couple of you haven't. We've been sitting here for too long not having him on the Moon Man list. I'm almost ashamed of myself. In fact, I am ashamed of myself that it's taken this long. I've been a little hesitant because of the likelihood of a hiatus type of situation resulting in an absolute fire return. But I've never seen a player hit the practice field, and I know you're going to say it's not in pads. I don't care. Like, my eyes work, and when I watch Calvin Ridley run a route, it looks like it's on fast forward. I honestly am waiting to hear the controversial, clip that gets released of the guy who's fast forwarding Calvin Ridley's routes in all of the videos, and we're all just tricked. The whole news media world is like, we've been watching a tape that's been doctored where all the other wide receivers, you got Zay running his route, you got everybody running their route, and then all of a sudden Ridley runs his route at 2 times speed, and we're being duped. It's got to be. It's got to be, it's either that or Ridley looks better than every single player on the field. And it doesn't mean that I'm ripping on any of the other players, Kirk or Zay. I love Zay. I love Zay Jones. Zay Jones is a poor man's Deebo Samuel. They're going to use him all over. Design plays. Zay's one of those wide receivers you want in your 4, 5, or 6 spot. Why? Because they're designing plays for this bad boy. And he's going to be given whatever, no matter how hungry all the other wide receivers are. He's going to get his. So Zay Jones is the perfect 4 or 5 wide receiver on your bench. Bye week, no problem. Put Zay in. Zay's there to save the day. Zay's practically like a mini little Superman on the field. And he'll show up when you need him. And he'll come and deliver when you need him. And Zay's an amazing player. That doesn't change anything. Oh, Smitty, what about Kirk? Kirk can be great. None of this has to do with Kirk. None of this has to do with Zay. All of this has to do with there's more footballs to go around than Ridley even needs. Law Dog is dishing out 40. Kirk can eat. Zay can eat. Ridley's going to eat. Ingram can eat. And even ETN can eat. And we've got this little beauty right here, this little piece of news here. Sports Illustrated is reporting that Travis Etienne has caught nearly every throw his way thus far. And I got to tell you something. I haven't been real happy with the way Etienne's been given the football.
Warning. Warning. Smitty is approaching dangerous territory. Warning. Warning. Threshold unstable.
Alert. Maximum levels reached. Prepare for transformation. Alert. Maximum levels reached. Prepare for...
Time for a Smitty rant.
We're talking, Brees. Why are all my cameras jacked up? What's going on with my cameras? I'm in the middle of a rant. What is going on here? Come on. Come on. Come on. What's going on here? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just ruined the vibe of the rant.
Time for a Smitty rant.
Listen, and you listen good. Travis Etienne's getting disrespected. Travis Etienne is getting disrespected, but you know what? We've been disrespecting him too. Even though we're probably higher on him than any community, we still have a little bit of doubt, and that's shame on us. That's not smart. That's not smart. It's not correct. It's definitely disrespectful. And this guy's got the ability to be, I swear to you, on my career, I swear to you, if you believe me, if you trust in me, I'm not always going to be right, okay? So the guy that comes in and goes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Smitty, what do you got to say about that one? Look, I miss things. I'm always going to miss things. It's like Babe Ruth going out there. I'm not scared of striking out. I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm swinging big, and I'm going to strike out. But I'm going to knock a bunch out of the park, and that's why you're here. And I'm telling you right now, if you trust me, listen to me right here. I don't know that this can play out the way I want it, but I want you to trust my analysis part of this, okay? If I was in charge of this situation. Travis Etienne is a top 5 receiving running back in the National Football League without hesitation, without equivocation, without any sort of stuttering. I'm telling you that if Etienne was fed receiving work, he would explode. He's the best pass catcher in the National Football League behind maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 receiving backs, which puts him in the top 5. It puts him in the top 5 of receiving backs in the National Football League. Now you're gonna get an Excel Eric to come in here, and Eric's gonna come in and say, Smitty, I'm looking at my Excel sheet. He didn't catch very many passes last year. No shit, Eric. That's part of the problem. And that's why I'm upset. That's why I'm ranting right now. That's why I'm very angry inside at the core of my being. That's why I'm screaming and yelling, and the yard guys are probably going, poor Miss Smitty. He's laying into her right now. What's he screaming about? Because he has no idea what I do. I'm in here screaming and yelling at the top of my lungs because the Jaguars have not used Travis Etienne to the full potential that is the man. Because Travis Etienne could be a top 5 receiving running back in the National Football League. There's no reason he can't do exactly. Look, come in closer. He doesn't mean he can't do exactly what Austin Eckler is doing and can do. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can say no, and you can say things like, Smitty, but last year, I don't care. If you trust me, if I'm here to help guide you, if I'm your coach blowing the whistle, high knees, Bobby, high knees, Bobby. It doesn't mean I'm mad at you. I had 4 or 5 people yesterday in my YouTube comments say I'm so mean, and I can't believe the way you treated Steven, and why are you yelling at him? The ego on you. I can't believe you. There are 4 or 5 people in my comments, and my usual following came to bat for me, and I bet you even Steven would be there coming to bat for me saying, hey, he's fine. This is just the way Smitty is. I am like your coach. Okay, if you don't like it, you can exit the track right now. You can walk yourself off the field. I'm your coach. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your coach. And when you step out of bounds and say something, or you need your coach to stand in front, be strong and tall and confident, even if the wind's blowing really hard and we're about to blow over, I'm calming the storm. Everybody take it easy. Breece Hall's going to be okay. Take it easy. Joe Burrow's going to be okay. Now, I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar. Do you think that of me? Hater, commenter, do you really think I'm out here just blowing smoke up your rear end? Do you think I'm sitting here going, Joseph Burrow, even though he might be injured, is going to be okay? Do I look like that kind of person? I won't be bad. Tell me, do I look like that kind of person? The answer is no. I'll tell you what I believe to be honest and true. At the moment, I adjust and adapt. There's a reason we call it adjust and adapt season every season. There's a reason we are an adjust and adapt show, because I will adjust and adapt anytime I need to. I do not, people have been saying Smitty's wishy-washy. He'll flip-flop on things. That's called adjusting and adapting. Excel sheet Eric will say, ETN's not going to do well because he didn't catch so many passes. Now, I'm telling you right now, I don't really know what's in store in Jacksonville for ETN's receiving workload divide. I don't have the science for it like the Jahmyr Gibbs science that I bring to the table every single day. The flux capacitor, all the gigawatts, everything we're bringing to the table, I've got nothing concrete on ETN's receiving workload divide. But what I can tell you with the certainty inside my soul is that ETN is a top 5 capable receiving back at the National Football League level. He just needs to be used. And we got a report here today. This report is why we're here. This is why I'm screaming and yelling, is because this report right here says this. Sports Illustrated reports Travis Etienne has caught nearly everything thrown his way in camp, with the Jags usually with the Jags using a day 2 pick on early bruising Tank Bigsby. Etienne is going to have not only to consult. Hold on, I gotta sit down. I can't read the angle here. There we go. Now I can read it. With the Jags using a day 2 pick on an early down bruiser, Tank Bigsby, Etienne is going to have to not only consolidate his role in the passing game, but perhaps grow it. It sounds like he's off to a good start, but the important thing to remember is the Dayton compensation. Etienne comes with an uncomfortable amount of downside at his ADP at running back 1-2 borderline, but his upside. Okay, here we go. Sorry, let me go back to this rant mode here. the point being here, not the analysis that they had attached to it. The point that he's catching everything, and I didn't need to read the rest of it, but my point here is this. Travis Etienne. Etienne says stays healthy, he's a problem. That's right. That's right. Who is that? Lost Arts? Good comment there, pal. Good comment. McCaffrey, Kamara, McKinnon, Eckler, Stevenson, Aaron Jones. What is Okafor trying to challenge me again? Okay, Okafor, call in real quick, Okafor. Call in real quick, Okafor. What in the hell are you trying to do here again? Are you always trying to combat me? Are you always trying to go at me? Are you always trying to just defy everything that I'm saying, Okafor? Is that all you live for? How come you don't sit here and go, yeah, I like that Trevor Lawrence take. Hey, I like the Ridley take. You just sit there and wait like a waiting William. You're just a waiting William. And this is where people say, I get mad at everybody. And look, this is the show. This is the show. You don't like a little Hard Knocks fantasy football style, then I don't know. Maybe this isn't the show for you. I don't know. I'm not here to be your friend. But Okafor comes in here and just starts listing off all these running backs, which, look, you could make arguments, I guess. But Okafor, why are you always trying to defy everything I say? It's okay to disagree. It's okay. And then the hater in here is going to go, Smitty, whenever somebody disagrees, he gets mad. No, it's because Okafor literally sits here and waits for somebody, for something to be said that he can disagree with. And usually, Okafor, you come in here and you don't have like the craziest take to support what you're trying to shoot down. So I get what you're saying here. McCaffrey, I understand. Kamara, maybe in the past, maybe now. We don't really know what's left in the tank. Eckler, yes, I agree with that. Eckler, McCaffrey, maybe Kamara. McKinnon, I could get behind that. And then we start getting to a point where, look, Gibbs is up there for sure. Gibbs is going to be up there. But this is where ETN can live. Right here. Bijan, Gibbs, ETN, Eckler, McCaffrey. McCaffrey's getting older. Kamara's getting older. McKinnon's getting older. Eckler's getting older. The changing of the guard is happening. ETN's going to push his way, hopefully, if they use him properly, push his way into that top 5 that is going to be vacated by some of these older guys in the next year or so. So here's what I'm going to say. You don't even believe in ETN and his receiving abilities probably because he hasn't done it. That's probably why, right, Okafor? It's nothing to do with what you see in college. In college, he was the 3rd best receiving prospect out of the wide receivers and running backs combined.
Hey, I don't know what happened when he got to that. After all, I know he just caught a bunch of balls in college. But I've watched.
That's all I know. All I know. That's what you do, though. That's what you do, though. You say something, then you come in and go, all I know. I haven't really looked into it. But all I know is I said it, and I'm here to debate it.
I'm saying I've watched this man catch the ball. His hands are not natural. Okay? This man has some stone hands. I don't know how he keeps catching, cradling the ball. I don't know.
Who has stone hands?
Yeah.
Who? Wait. ETN has stone hands?
Yes.
Get out of here, bro. Get out. You want to come in and say, look, I still think there's 5 running backs, 6 running backs, 7 running backs ahead, and I do like them to maybe take over into the top 5 or 6. Stone hands. Catching everything in camp. That's one. Number 2, did you just basically admitted you didn't watch. You heard he caught a lot of passes. You didn't watch any of his college film, apparently. This guy's a PPR monster in waiting. He just hasn't been used. But there's an explanation for why I think that can change. But Okafor, you can't come in here and call ETN stone hands. Where in the hell did you get that? Who's feeding you this garbage? You're cheating on the show, bro. You're cheating on the show. You're watching some other garbage out there because there's no way you caught that crap from me.
It's just by watching it. I can see a receiver's ability to catch the ball, whether it's natural or not. And last year, it did not look natural. And he's also come out and said he's scared to catch the ball. He's scared to get hit after catching the ball. So he at the back of his head, he's T-Rex arming it, scared of being blasted.
I think you're literally just spewing this stuff out. I don't think you really believe that.
No. He said it himself. He came out of his mouth.
I don't think you believe that he can't catch. I think Stonehands, that's garbage. That's garbage. Stonehands, the guy's amazing receiving back. He was one of the best receiving backs to come out, not only his year, but out of all the pass catchers. What are you talking about, Stonehands?
Unnatural hands. I'm not going to say Stonehands. I've seen Stone Cold drop.
You take everything back.
But everybody does.
Look, Okafor, I don't mind some of the guys on your list. Like, I'm not going to put Gibson ahead of him. I'm not going to put Mixon ahead of him. I'm not going to put. I'll definitely put Gibbs ahead of him. I'll definitely put McCaffrey right now ahead of him. Sure, of course. Eckler ahead of him. So we'll go Gibbs, Eckler, McCaffrey, and we'll say Bijan. I think is going to get there. But he's going to be in a rotation of that, let's call it 5, 6, 7 for receiving backs PPR production if the Jaguars use him properly. Now, that's the problem. That's where we walk out of last year and you say, okay, Peterson and staff say, we're going to dial back his running and keep him fresh. Now, they used ETN at the end of the year. They fed him like a monster. He was in the playoffs, before the playoffs. He was literally getting like 100-yard plus rushing games. He was getting 20-plus carries. He was doing absolutely amazing. This is the kind of guy who can run the ball 10 times for 110 yards. Like, he's ultra efficient. 5 yards per carry type of back, especially if you keep him fresh and you do some sort of play action or some kind of weird draw play. You can literally hand it to Etienne with an open lane, and he'll take one carry 15, 16, 17, 20 yards downfield. And that's why he can average like 10 yards a carry on like 12 carries, because of the usage, the proper usage of giving this man the football at the proper time when the defense is spread out. And you say, hey, playmaker, go make a play. And Etienne does that. He's the most capable of like 10 yards per carry on a 10-carry game. Like, he's that guy that he's going to have those stat lines during the season. Now, I don't think he'll average 10 yards a carry on the year. He'll average 5 yards per carry on the year. But if they dial back his running, which has been our concern, which is why I say, like, we need to have more faith in Etienne's talent level and Trevor Lawrence's desire to get him the ball, because these two play ball in college. The rapport is there. We need to look at this and say to ourselves, last year was a reset year. Last year was essentially Etienne's first year, because he didn't play a single down his rookie year with the Liz Frank injury. So he came in and played like a rookie, essentially. Yeah, he learned the playbook from the sidelines. He washed. He probably learned a lot. But last year was his rookie year. And a lot of rookies are taken off the field on third down. They need to learn pass protection, not only in the NFL, but for their team. And so Etienne, it's very, very safe to say that he got the rookie treatment in terms of getting involved in the PPR aspects of the offense. And it's also safe to say that Trevor Lawrence was so busy trying to facilitate and move the offense down the field and implement this new system that he had to learn after that disaster of an Urban Meyer setup that was a wasted year for everybody, that maybe he didn't have time to train and teach and beg for Etienne to stay on the field and all that. I really believe if they're throwing to him in practice right now to a degree that this Sports Illustrated reporter is talking about him catching everything thrown his way, that's not something where, he got 2 passes thrown his direction. He's being utilized as a receiver quite a bit in practice. They're planning for it. They're prepping for it. Etienne's not busy rehabbing still, and he very much was walking into week 1. So he was probably not as finely tuned into every aspect of the offense, because he's out there rehabbing. He's getting pulled away for that. He's trying to keep his foot right. Etienne was smart about it. He rehabbed his foot all year long. Even when the rehab ended, he said, I'm going to continue it all year long because I want to make sure my foot's as strong as possible. He's ultra smart. I think there's an opportunity for Etienne. Again, give me Gibbs over him PPR-wise. Give me Bijan over him. I think Bijan catches 50-plus passes this year. Easy. And give me McCaffrey, give me Eckler. And then you start saying things like, okay, you could say McKinnon, but how many games is McKinnon going to really play at that level? McKinnon's not playing 17 games at 31 years old at that level. So arguably he could be in spots better than anybody in the league, but he's not going to be that way on the season. And then your other names, you got Stevenson. I like Stevenson a lot. I do. You could argue skill set wise, he's certainly right there. But his situation feels shakier every day because Bill Belichick is a loose cannon with the running back decision making, and it feels like Stevenson walked out of 2022 in the doghouse, and now he keeps being faced with bringing in other RBs. And you could say, well, hey, Smitty, hypocrite, you're not so worried about Breece Hall being overtaken, but you're worried about if they bring in Cook. But if they bring in Cook in New England, it's different with Bill Belichick because he continues to the desire to rotate his backs. Breece Hall's on a whole nother level. You could say Stevenson could outproduce Breece Hall this year. I'm not saying that Stevenson doesn't have that amazing short-term top 5 to 10 running back potential and appeal. But Stevenson is not, he doesn't have a foothold on the future of the running backs in the NFL, like positioning like Breece Hall has. I'm not ultra concerned about Breece Hall getting his job taken by anybody. Not to mention, I believe he's a top 1 to 3 running back talent-wise in the National Football League. So no one's going to take the job from period. I don't care if they try. But Stevenson, you got to admit, in Dynasty feels shakier. And even in redraft right now, I love him, and I'm drafting a lot of them. But I don't know what is in store for Stevenson, even like in week 10. What is Bill going to do? What if Bill does bring in Cook, and he wanted to go after Cook? Cook was the favorite to potentially go to New England. Those odds appear to have changed. And now everyone's saying New York, but a lot of people do believe that I've talked to that he's trying to just get more money from Miami and use it as leverage, just like Hopkins did. Remember Hopkins left Tennessee, and he showed the photos of the Tennessee mock-up of him in a uniform, and we all went crazy. We went live. We're like, we think this is the limousine driver that did this, or the limousine company and not the team, but they're trying to wine and dine this guy, and he's using that as leverage to get other teams to make other, higher offers. Nobody did, so then he went back to Tennessee. I feel like Miami is the place he probably goes. If he goes to New York, so be it. I know this is about ETN, so let me circle back. But all I'm saying is, of your list here, a lot of these guys are not necessarily going to be doing it all year. Like, I like Aaron Jones, but I don't know how long he has to be an elite player anymore. He could have the one more year. I do think he could. Who else did you list? Who else did you list?
What exactly do you mean by receiving back then? Maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Well, I think in terms of being a PPR running back, a guy that can score the most points via the air, ETN is capable, like I said from the beginning, capable of being a top 5 receiving back. It's up to Jacksonville to implement that, and that I can't guarantee. What I'm trying to do in this rant, and what I said from the beginning was, trust me when I say he is capable of it. He has the ability to be a top 5 running back in the National Football League. He does. Whether it's implemented, whether he's fed enough, I don't know. That's the part that makes it hard to rank him even in the 3rd round. When he's in the 4th round, I love it. In the 3rd round, I'm a little skeptical because there are so many good players. It's not necessarily about ETN. It's about that I like all these other players a whole heck of a lot. And so I kind of hope ETN slips. And if he doesn't, then I miss him. But I'm going to go after like if I need a wide receiver, Ridley's sitting there. I like Ridley a little bit more than ETN at cost, but it doesn't mean I don't love ETN. It doesn't mean I'm not sick to my stomach that I'm passing on ETN and I want a whole bunch more shares of ETN than I really have right now. But I think that ETN, I just feel like what a lot of people are going to do is use last year and the fact that he didn't get thrown to paint a narrative that he can't catch the ball. And I feel like that's what you came in with. He's got stone hands. Like, saying ETN has stone hands is ridiculous, Okafor. If you want to say I still like these guys better, I could let that go. But stone hands? He doesn't have stone hands, bro. He came in as one of the best receiving players in his draft class, regardless of position. So I don't know where you...
I'm going to go back to the college tape and watch the kind of passes he's catching. That's what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead and do some more research. But the passes that I saw him try to catch in the NFL, it did not look natural to him. It looked like trying to force someone to do something that they're not. They don't naturally do. What
naturally do. That's where I say you're not watching. You're not watching, Okafor. Like I could respect your first comment or your comment about liking certain players better, but to say it looks uncomfortable, not natural for him to catch the football. You haven't watched football. You haven't watched him. You haven't watched him in college. You haven't watched any film on him, Okafor. You're admitting that when you say he looks unnatural catching the football. That's what he does so well. That was what he was coined as the best receiving back, essentially coming out of the draft class. And he was arguably, out of all the wide receivers being lumped in, a lot of people, a lot of scouts, and me included, said he's probably the third or fourth best receiving player in the entire draft class. Like, to say things like he's uncomfortable catching the football, I just don't understand, bro. I don't understand where you're getting at.
Maybe it's because of the season. Maybe that's what happened.
Okay, Stonehands, bro. That's look. Your argument went out the window was the moment you used that term, Stonehands. That was like, you probably had some people on your side. Some people on your side might have said like, I kind of agree, that Mixon still could be Stonehands, bro. No one's getting in that boat with you. 411 with the super chat says, howdy guys and gals, love the channel, bud. Appreciate you 411 for dropping the super chat. First super chatter of the day. I hadn't got to it yet. Any other super chats I'll handle immediately, so drop them like they're hot. And I got Rock Out on the phone right now. Rock Out, you don't have, again, I don't want you to just agree with me. I want you to give me your, and I'm not saying you're that type of person. I'm just saying you can be open and honest here. I have far too many people that say Smitty gets so mad when people disagree with him. I don't. I'm passionate about my argument, but I love to debate and have people come in and tell me how they really feel. And sometimes we are very like-minded, all of us together. That's why we collect here. That's why you like and gravitate toward the channel. And so that's natural for us all to a lot of the time be in unison. So don't feel you got to argue with me just to argue with me. But I'm asking you, do you feel like ETN, regardless of the coaching decisions, the talent-wise, has the ability to be a top 5 PPR back if he was fed? If he was fed, which is the argument.
Absolutely. And he doesn't have stone hands. He's been catching since high school and college.
I
feel they give him the work and he catches and all that. He can be up there with the best.
I love him, bro. I love him. ETN can be such a monster. He's so elusive. When you watch ETN catch the football, he looks like a wide receiver. Okafor, I don't know where you're getting stone hands. I don't know where you're getting uncomfortable. I don't even know where you, like, I seriously feel like you heard that somewhere and you just came in and repeated it, because you couldn't possibly have come to that determination yourself watching ETN catch the football. Because ETN is such a, God, when he catches the ball or runs the ball, and he's like patient with it, and you see him on the field, he looks like, I'm trying to comp him to somebody that makes a lot of sense, but I'd say a lot of the times he looks like a wide receiver. He looks like I'd almost say like a Marvin Harrison or a Antonio Brown type player when he's got the football in his hands and he turns upfield, and you forget he's a running back, because he's a little slender looking, and he's definitely not the heaviest guy in the world. Doesn't mean he's too small to play the position, but he's such a sleek, smooth player, just a smooth operator with the football in his hand. And there's a reason he gets 10 yards of carry some games when he's handed 11, 12 touches. There's a reason. ETN is so elusive and electric. He gets in a gap, he gets in a space, and he literally can navigate through it to the most open part of the field, and that's why he's such a big playmaker. And I get if anybody wants to say, no, I don't think they're going to feed him. Like that I can understand. Like, Peterson's not going to give him the ball. He's not going to throw to him. Last year was evidence of that. So I kind of feel the same thing's going to happen. I don't really have an argument for that, and I honestly could say there's some concern there. Like that's why I haven't anointed him a top 5 running back. Because if I was guaranteed ETN would catch 60 receptions, he'd be a top 5 lock. He'd be a top 5 lock running back for 2023. We had him on the Moonman list last year. We loved ETN. We still love ETN. The concern is real. The concern is really why his ADP is in the 3rd to 4th round territory. And I can't honestly push him higher, because I still don't know the answers. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. If you trust me, I'm telling you he's got the talent. But what I want to continue to hammer home is I can't guarantee what they're going to do. But when you see a report like this come out, this is a very encouraging, very, very, very encouraging report to the tune of like, there's nothing we've seen this offseason about a player other than Breece Hall's 23 miles per hour that excites me more about something that we're concerned about. So this is painting a picture we've been waiting to get painted. You know what I mean? Like to not hear anything about this would have put us in a spiral and a divide, and we'd all be fighting about, no, they're not going to give him the ball. To hear that he's catching everything thrown to him is fantastic. This is the best news we could have got for ETN. And it's not so good that he climbs up ADPs, which is kind of nice in a way. You know, like a scrimmage touchdown of like 99 yards. Like that would be like, okay, crap. You know, now he's going to go at the top of round 3. I don't know. Ron Navy dropping a $50 hauler on screen right now. Look at him go.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Ron Navy to the moon.
All right, let's go over to Ron Navy because he's a Mars man, and see what Ron thinks on this. Again, prefacing that, like, I'm also concerned about the workload divide. That I don't know. I don't have the science behind that like I do with Jahmyr Gibbs. But talent-wise, like, Ron, what are you thinking talent-wise? What's the opportunity if the opportunity is great?
For ETN, it's always been there. It's how they use them. But, you know, I'm kind of a little ticked off today, Smitty. Not at you, and you know what it is, and I dropped that 50 because, you know what? You're up to 19,500K people, right? 19 and a half million. You're growing like crazy. And what do I see? For months and months, you've been talking about Gibbs. Before the draft even started, talking about all these rookie players, making bold predictions and all this. And I am so tired of these, you call them lazy Larrys, coming in analysts that are cookie cutter, cut and paste last year's rankings into this year's, and that's who they push until training camp, and they see these guys because they're too scared to make bold predictions, right? That help out their viewers. And they're in here, Smitty. They're in here. They're watching. They're trolling. You know they're in here and they're trolling. They're trolling your show because there's no show more better than your show. And there's no better bold predictor than you. We might not agree on everything in here as far as the community, but we have different takes here and there, but there is nobody out there. These scared Susans are afraid to be wrong. They're afraid to be wrong, and so they wait till training camp starts. And in 2 videos today, Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm drafting him. I can't stop drafting him. I can't stop drafting him.
I am serious.
I'm like this. I'm like that. You know, they're pushing them. They're pushing them, and there's these same cookie cutter analysts, these posers, are going to sit there and say, yeah, I was the first one to come out and say, grab this guy and grab that guy. No. You guys are months behind. You guys are months and months behind. We were getting Smitty's community was getting value on these players. We drafted teams that you could no longer draft today because Smitty put out information that allowed us to do so. That's a fact.
Thank you, Ron.
You can't draft those players anymore. And this is I guess this is Ron's rant. That's why I put down the 50 because I knew I was going to rant. I'm sorry, but I just have to say it because I'm tired of these poser analysts out there putting out all this crap, and they're afraid to make bold predictions like you are, and they're afraid to be wrong, and they're afraid. They're just totally afraid, and they're in here. They're trolling in here too because what do? They come in here. And you see it. You see them mimicking you. We don't know what names they're under in your chat, but they're watching, and they're paying attention, and they try to mimic you. But you can't mimic Smitty. You can't mimic Smitty as much as you try. You cannot do it.
I appreciate
and
you,
done.
Ron. I appreciate it. Let's give Ron a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't say anything about Cousins before he came into the chat today. Thank God I stayed on point.
There you
Because
go, Ron.
I could have derailed all that if I'd come in strong on something. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. The lazy Larrys are, look, some say it's flattering when people copy you or whatever, and honestly, I don't know that that's that true. Like sometimes it is annoying. But I don't concern myself with other people. At the end of the day, I'm competing only with myself, and I'm here to make my piece of the pie as big as I can make it. And there's such a big pie out there. Everyone else is irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. I don't care about them. I'm not worried about them. They can copy whatever they want. But I do appreciate people getting passionate. And I got a lot of people come in here and say that all the time. They'll say, hey, there's a guy out there that is acting like he's the one that called Bijan Robinson. and he pronounces it Bijan. He can't even say his name right. But I appreciate all of you. And I appreciate that. And Ron, you get a free bold prediction when you're ready. But Ron, real quickly, back to Travis Etienne to get back on track here.
Sorry,
No, that's fine. But Etienne in the third, where's he going on underdog right now? Like, where do you go in your recent draft right now? With all the fluctuation of Breece Hall and Joe Burrow, like, where did he just go in your recent draft or two?
He's fallen. Hold on just a second, and I'll tell you. But Joe Burrow is constantly in the 3 best ball drafts I did today. The BB4. Burrow went the 5th round every single time.
Jeez, Joe Burrow round 5. Everybody get excited about that. Joe Burrow round 5. Now I wouldn't be surprised if it stayed there and it didn't go into 6. I heard 6 and 7. Immediately when he went down, I had 2 or 3 people send me their draft. He went in 6 and 7. I forget if 2 or 6 and one of them was in 7, but 6 and 7 on all 3 drafts. After there was a report like, oh, maybe there's an Achilles or something we got to look at, which was a total bogus report. There's a lot of people trying to get in this industry that they try and go out there and say, oh, like here's what he has, here's the the medical whatever, here's the injury, and it's like there was nothing that we had, absolutely zero to point that the initial report was wrong. The initial report was Joe Burrow had a calf strain, and you had everyone and their mother coming in and saying on a channel or a Instagram page or a tweet saying that it still could be Achilles, it still could be this. Everybody's just trying to predict it, but we didn't have a single piece of evidence that the initial diagnosis was wrong. And so they came in, and Diana Rossini and a couple other reports came in late yesterday while we were still live and said, it's been confirmed. It is a calf strain, and that's it. It's the absolute best scenario possible. And I still see in here, and even my comments are proof, people going, hey, I'm still hearing rumblings that maybe there's another situation back in 1995 where they said the same thing, and it ended up, or hey, Kevin Durant, they said the same thing about Kevin Durant, ended up being Achilles. We have no reason to believe that something completely unrelated has to do with this situation when he literally stepped down and pulled up and hopped on the leg. And that initially is what made people think Achilles, because he did the Achilles hop where you can't even put any pressure down. But he picked up his calf because he was worried about it. If you noticed, he was wearing a sleeve on it when it happened, so that means that he was kind of concerned about it. Sometimes when you have a calf soreness, it feels like a strain. And I've been dealing with that myself. I've had a torn calf for months because I keep trying to run too early. And that's why Ron's a little nervous, because I can't shake it. But it's because I'm not patient and I don't wait 2 or 3 weeks like Joe Burrow's going to wait while he waits for his contract and becomes the highest paid player in the National Football League, which I do believe he won't hit the field in a competitive sense, in a hardcore, balls to the wall sense until he gets his deal. And that's smart. And I think the Bengals know that. So he's going to sit on the sidelines throwing the ball, walking around. You're going to see him not limping at all. It's a calf strain. A calf strain, you literally can walk around without a limp after about 2-3 days. Sometimes it depends on how severe it is. But if we see Joe Burrow footage of it, you can bet your bottom dollar everyone with the camera is going to be pointing at Joe Burrow whenever they get a chance. What's he doing? Is he limping? You're going to see him casually walking as if there's no injury whatsoever. The moment you see that, that means it's a 2 to 3 week injury, like at the most. To be safe, they want to keep him off it for 3 weeks. That doesn't mean he's not on the sideline throwing. Doesn't mean he's not walking around. Because what people don't understand about an injury like that, you're rehabbing it immediately. You know, you tear your ACL, and you know how I told you it takes, if you're a layman like me, and you tear your ACL, okay, you're on crutches for 10 to 14 days. That means you can't put a single piece of weight at all on the ACL as the bone is healing around your new ACL that they just screwed into your two knee joint, your top of your knee joint, the bottom of the knee joint. But you know what you're doing when you wake up from surgery? Your knee's in a machine. And the machine's going, bending your knee for you while you're waking up from your surgery. You're constantly rehabbing these things from the onset of it. So Joe Burrow isn't going to be like not doing anything, not throwing the ball. He'll be walking fine. He'll be rehabbing it, and he'll get stronger and stronger. Also, Ron, I'm not doing any sort of rehab with my calf, which is why I probably keep tearing it. But I will say this. Go ahead.
No. Finish what you're doing, but I want to get back to your ETN question when you're done.
Yeah. So, ETN, thank you. I appreciate you, Hazelnut. ETN, to me, this is my diagnosis of this fantasy situation, is equal parts risk, equal parts reward at third round value. I wish I could give you like better news, because this is an ETN Ridley, and we haven't even gotten to JSN right now, but this is an ETN Ridley JSN explosion show. Okay, so I am here to tell you that ETN could be a top 5 to 10 running back in 2023. His talent will support it, I promise you. But the reason why he's still a 50-50, if you picture fantasy football drafting like a teeter-totter or a scale, I'm telling you right now, in the middle of the third round, the scale is even. There's as much risk as there is reward. And sometimes that teeter-tottering is okay. Like sometimes you can take a player in the middle of that and not say to yourself, well, I have to take a guy where the weight is all on the upside side of the scale. And that is traditionally how you want to draft. But what this tells me, when it's in the middle, 50% could disappoint, 50% could win you a league. You take them in moderation. So my advice is ETN is not an all eggs in one basket player like Bijan or Gibbs or Fields in round 5, or a handful of players like Dotson in round 7. Those are an all eggs in one basket where I would literally put all my fantasy teams in jeopardy of getting hit hard if an injury strikes, like Breece Hall. As much as you could say, oh, that didn't work out, I don't care. It was not a mistake to put all my eggs in the Breece Hall basket, because I would have won everything that I did practically across the board. And even though the teams where I got hit hard, just like a lot of you, we crawled into first place instead of sprinted and dominated our way into first place. So we're going to recover if things like that happen. ETN is not an all eggs in one basket player. You need to take him in moderation, because until he falls into a hardcore fourth round, which is why I asked you, and you went on the Joe Burrow topic. ETN, Ron, where's his ADP?
He went, in the one draft, he went 37, but I think that's because that draft was going heavy running back. But the other two drafts, I think that's more, gives a better feeling of where he goes. 47 and 48.
Okay, 47 and 48. You know what I'll say though, and this is where it's like, okay, this is where it feels like, okay, is this really let's pump up ETN show, because this sounds like you're not as excited about him as you're saying you are, Smitty. And this isn't the case. It's just me being real when I look at an ADP and I tell you where I get in and where I don't get in, and why I haven't been drafting ETN quite as much as you would think based on this show. Here's what I'm talking about. If you look at this ADP data from Underdog, this is accurate as of this moment. I don't know if they updated it like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. We might be able to tell by the Breece Hall movement, but Breece Hall is still above Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that doesn't last. I think Gibbs does rise up. Najee Harris, I believe, will go ahead of Breece Hall and Gibbs. And I think, Ron, you said Najee did go ahead of Breece Hall in your draft. So I think this ADP is about 2 days.
He went in the third round, which surprised me. And then, he went, and then Gibbs went, and then Breece Hall went. I mean, I got Breece Hall in the fourth.
Yeah. So I feel like this is about 2 days behind. I bet you in a day or two, the ADP will update. We'll see Najee above Breece. We'll see Gibbs above Breece. ETN above Mixon all day. All day. All day. Here's where the problem lies. This is why I don't own a lot of ETN. I'd rather have Walker. And Walker is an all eggs in one basket player for me because he's going in the 5th round like clockwork. Like clockwork. I swear, I've drafted him in probably 80 to 90% of every single of the last 2 underdog tournaments. So the slow puppies, the fast puppies, and the palms. I swear, it's like 80+% I've drafted Kenneth Walker in the 5th round. In almost every single one of them, he's there. I don't care if I've got 1 wide receiver in the 5th round at that point. I'm like, okay, I need to get another wide receiver. I've got 2 running backs. I got my quarterback. I got Joe Burrow. I got Bijan and Gibbs. I got Bijan and Barkley because I got Barkley for cheap for a while. And then I'm sitting there with Jamar Chase or somebody, and I've got 2 running backs or 3 running backs. So 2 running backs, quarterback, and 1 wide receiver. And instead of going balanced, I see Walker sitting there in round 5. I pounce on it. Now, here's the thing. Like, if that's true, then ETN shouldn't be going in round 3. He should be going probably in round 4 because Walker is going in round 5. The problem is, it's weird. It's kind of all over the place. If ETN's in round 4, I feel like that scale goes slightly in the advantage, and maybe not even slightly, maybe a lot, in the advantage of upside versus risk. Maybe he's not 50-50 if you're getting him in your 4th round as your 4th drafted player. In the 3rd round, and sometimes he gets forced there, depends if you're playing an ESPN draft, if you're playing on Sleeper, if you're drafting on Underdog. It really is all over the map. If ETN's in the 3rd round, it's 50% risk, 50% upside, and you just got to look around the round and say, is somebody got a better ratio of risk versus reward? And typically there is. So that's why I don't draft ETN in the 3rd round very often at all. Even though I love him, even though he's got top 5 to 10 running back upside, the risk is very heavy. The upside's very heavy. In round 4, it's probably 60% upside, 40% risk if you're to pit the 2 against each other. And in round 5, he would literally be a 70%, 80% upside guy. Smash, no hesitation, draft him every single time I see him, just like I'm doing with Walker. Walker's got 10, 20% risk maybe, not because he's going to lose his job, because if he got hurt, Charbonnet's so good, he's like almost equally as good as Walker, which is why I was so disappointed on draft day. It wasn't because I thought Walker would necessarily lose his job. It was like you lost a top 5 to 10 running back that day, regardless of how you look at it. Once Charbonnet landed on the Seattle roster, we had to mourn that one of them would not be one at a time, and probably Walker. So we're probably saying goodbye to Zach Charbonnet being a top 5 to 10 dynasty running back. He would be a fill-in or replacement, take Walker's job if Walker started to suffer some kind of season-ending injury and then Charbonnet got in there. Regardless, it was depressing because we were envisioning owning Walker as a top 5 to 10 running back, Charbonnet as a top 5 to 10 running back. Ron and I were drafting him probably in 80% of our leagues before the 2023 NFL draft. And so it was a depressing blow and kick to the nads. But I got to say here, my final statement is that if ETN's in the 4th round, I actually really like it. If he's in the 5th round, which he won't be, but he could, you never know, smash. 3rd round.
There's nothing that Walker and Charbonnet could be the next Aaron Jones and Dillon. I mean, that could very well easily happen because Walker can't play 100% of the snaps. You need the second running back.
Exactly.
And Sharp is good enough to break them and do all that other stuff. So it could be a wonderful combination.
Right.
Think about it. And then the whole thing, like you said before, with ETN is it's not his talent that anybody's questioning. It's Jacksonville. Are they going to? That's a chance. If you draft him, you're taking. You have to believe that Jacksonville is going to implement him more into the offense than they did last year. Because if they don't, then he's not going to be great at his value even in the 4th.
Yeah, and just so people understand what I'm saying here, Walker in round 4 or 5. So Walker in round 2. Let's call that like if I was to say like 1 out of 10, or I'm sorry, let's say 1 out of 100 in terms of percentage of like ability to win your league. I would say Walker in round number 2 was probably at like a 65% if I had to just give you like a weird arbitrary number, like win your league, we'll give him 65 at a percent chance of being that guy that could just explode for you. This is Walker in round 4 or 5 is something where I'd rank in like the 80s. Or if we were to just say 1 to 10, we'll just do a 1 to 10 scale. We'll say this is like a 6 or a 7 of being still capable of being one of the best values. We'll call this a value grade. Out of 10, value 6 to 7. Maybe even we just give him a 7 because he's absolutely a top 5 running back. You were getting him at 12 to 14 overall before the NFL draft. So in round 2, he was a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. That is an awesome player. That is definitely a win-a-league potential player. Walker in round 4 or 5 is literally, in my opinion, a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in terms of being capable of being the best value you could find. Like just unbelievable value. And so, like I always say, you got to ask yourself, if you could undo the Zach Charbonnet drafting by the Seahawks, would you do it? Because this isn't as good a value as this, because I'm not scared of Charbonnet taking his job. I love Charbonnet. I love Charbonnet. If he was in a different place, he could be a starter alongside of Walker, and they both could be top 10 running backs. I think the cuffing, if you cuff Charbs and Walker together, that's where this makes this probably the best. I would say one of the best players, the best draft slots, the best acquisitions you can make in 2023 fantasy football. That's why he's one of the 4 best picks in 2023. Walker, because of the ability to cuff Charbonnet so easily, and there really is no better value than these 4 guys in fantasy football, period. And Joe Burrow is now not going around 4, he's going around 5 or around 6, so he even becomes even more valuable. But these are the best 4 picks, in my opinion, in fantasy football 2023, and it's because of this reasoning. I don't know that Walker would have cracked that top 4 list if he didn't fall to round 4 and 5, and he wouldn't have fallen to round 4 or 5 if it were not for Zach Charbonnet. So it's a double-edged sword. I know everybody can get so upset based on expectation, and the same thing goes for Breece Hall. Like, I'm not saying that I think Cook's going to land in New York, but let's assume Breece Hall in round number 3.1 versus Breece Hall at where does he fall if Dalvin Cook signs tomorrow, Ron? Where do you think he goes? 4.5 or even maybe top of round 5?
Dalvin Cook?
If Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets tomorrow, does Breece go to like 4.5 ADP, or does he climb all the way to the top of round 5, or fall all the way to the bottom, the top of round 5?
I don't think he falls to 5. I think he'd stay in 4.
Let's call him 4.7.
Yeah.
So with Cook on the roster, what's more valuable? This is why I get all the Cook signing in New York, which he hasn't yet, and there's no indication that it's absolutely going to happen other than from his mouth, where he basically said, I want to go to a team that is going to, what do you say? What was the phrase? I want to go to a team that is going to be all about, Dalvin Cook, or I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he's like, I'm going to go to a team that's going to love on Dalvin Cook. That's what he said. I want to go to a team that's going to love on Dalvin Cook. All about himself. Like, he thinks he's going to go there. He wants to go there, but we don't know that he's going there. They might lowball offer this man something, and he's going to walk away to Miami and sign a bigger deal. Or they say Minnesota's interested. I don't know if that's true. There's rumors. But my question is this. If we're not scared of Breece Hall losing his job to Dalvin Cook, and I'm certainly not scared of that at all, somebody's going to take the load from him early on so that he can stay healthy and ease his way back. Whether that's Cook or Michael Carter or the rookie or whoever, Breece Hall is not going to have the full workload. So this is irrelevant. Somebody's going to play this role. But if I'm looking at this and I'm saying I can get Breece Hall in almost the 5th round, at least mid to late 4th round versus 3.1, sometimes the 2.12 to 3.1 turn, what's more valuable? Because if we're not scared of Cook, this is the win a league home run value. And this is just safer feeling, and you sleep better at night initially. I mean, it's a debate. It's a debate for sure. But, Breece is a tough player to, I think, evaluate right now because of all the crazy ADP concerns, and he's going to probably fall. And you said Breece Hall fell to what overall pick in your most recent Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty draft, Ron?
Well, I drafted him at.
Cook said he thinks his odds of signing with the Jets are pretty high. This is coming from Dalvin Cook, though. So, I don't know. I mean, even if it happens, again, I mapped out why I'm not concerned. 4.7, 5.1 ADP. That could be the best value that you've ever seen for Breece Hall going forward. It just sucks if you've already drafted him. It's kind of like when you buy a stock and it
42.
tanks the next day, and you're like, crap, I just bought it. I just could have bought it lower, you know. Where, Ron?
42.
42. I mean, that's a steal. 42, you're talking about Mixon going 45 overall. Jacobs is going 30 overall. give me
for him in my draft. Mixon went at 37. Gibbs went at 40.
I mean, look,
That's
if there's anything I can tell anybody today, if you want to not listen to a single word I'm saying at all, that's fine. But you better listen to this right here. If you're thinking that Jacobs, who's going, where's Jacobs going? He's going right here. If you think Jahmyr Gibbs, who's got 2 draft slots below Jacobs, Hall's 1 draft slot below Jacobs, if you don't think Gibbs is going to outperform Josh Jacobs, who's holding out, and if he does return, he's returning with a higher likelihood of injury, and he's returning to a horrible situation, I can't help you. I literally can't help you. Overcome can help you. And he says, Breece Hall. Thank you, Overcome. Appreciate you. And I don't know if I have another super chat real quick. And let's go to negative Ethan after I answer this super chat. 411, thank you for the super chat. Overcome, thank you for the super chat. Ron Navy, thank you for the $50 hauler. And Shane dropping this one. DJ Moore going to break out for the Bears in fantasy ? I think he's going to have a really good year. I don't know that he's going to be as good as, let's say, St. Brown and Garrett Wilson and Olave and Calvin Ridley, and when you incorporate all the other receivers like Cooper Kupp and all the guys above, that puts him outside the top 10. So if the expectation is that he's a breakout top 8, 7 wide receiver, I don't see that. But that doesn't mean he can't have 1,150, 1,200 yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns and 80 plus receptions. That would be a very good, like, elite wide receiver 3 or borderline wide receiver 2, depending on how you stacked your team and where you drafted. But I certainly do like DJ Moore. DJ Moore could get 7, 8, 9 touchdowns and 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards. He's certainly capable of it. And I think that it depends on how you view Fields. If you view Fields like I do, where he's going to throw for 3,500 plus easy, and everyone's like, oh, what about last year? Last year is irrelevant to me. Last year is irrelevant to me in terms of the amount of yards that Fields can throw for. I think that the yardage is there. The touchdowns will be there. I think he could sleepwalk into 1,100 to 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's a really good year, but that's where I'd put him at. Negative, Ethan, the negative. What do you want to be negative about today? Let me guess. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't really have anything negative to say. Okay. I was wondering, 2 QB league, the 1.4, if you take like a Hurts and you want Gibbs, you shouldn't take him at 3.4. So then should I just, you're not that into those running backs like in the Henry, Chubb area. I know you like Pollard. Should I just see who falls and take one of them and then take an Olave instead at receiver? Then hope for Gibbs?
I always take the best player available for sure. So that yeah, to answer your question, yeah, but give me a scenario. So you're saying you take who in round 1?
So you take Hurts, right?
Okay. In round 1?
If someone takes
Superflex.
Jefferson or McCaffrey and a 2 QB.
This is a 2 QB. You don't take Hurts if someone takes Jefferson or McCaffrey. You take Hurts no matter what. You don't take Jefferson or McCaffrey.
Well, there's also the scenario because the first guy takes Mahomes, second guy takes Allen. third guy takes Hurts, and now the Burrow thing. Let's not get into the Burrow thing. Let's not go there.
Okay, but hold on. You still need to grab a quarterback. You either go Fields or you go Lamar or you go Herbert or you go T Law. Like you're not walking out of round 1 without a quarterback. You can't. If you're gifted,
so you're okay with if I take Lamar because I'd rather have Lamar.
If you believe Lamar is going to do what I believe Fields is going to do, I don't Smitty approve the pick. I Smitty approve the process. Okay, and you could be right about it. I think I would take Fields in a heartbeat if let's say I had concern about Burrow. I would take Fields in a heartbeat at number 5 or 4 overall in a Superflex. Not even a hesitation in my mind. I did it in the Scott Fishbowl. I had the number 4 overall pick. I took Justin Fields, especially in that format and I took him over Burrow because you get 0.25, a quarter point per rushing attempt. So I believe Fields is going to be the number 1 overall scorer in the Scott Fishbowl scoring format. So I took him at number 4. But even in a normal scoring, and that's not normal, even in a normal scoring format, Fields at number 5 would be a lock for me. But do you, if you like Lamar, go ahead and take Lamar. Regardless, you can't go wide receiver or running back when you're gifted the opportunity to draft a guy that could be a top 5 quarterback in a super flex. It's just hard to win if you don't go that route. You can't, because what are you going to do? You're going to get here and you're going to see what? You probably won't even see Deshaun Watson at this end of round 2. You probably won't. What are you going to do? Draft Danny Dimes? You know, we were in the Scott Fishbowl, and Tua went here. Danny Dimes went here in the 3rd round. Tua went here. Oh no, Tua went first. JT went in round 1, and then this guy took Tua, and they took Danny Dimes in round 3. It's like, don't put yourself in that position. Drive against traffic. Once you grab your quarterback here, and you create this shortage going into the bottom half of round 1 and into the top of round 2, you're gonna have all these reaching Rodgers that grab these quarterbacks that they don't even sniff the potential that you're getting at your quarterback position, and you'll have like 2 running backs go between this and your next pick. You'll have maybe 2 wide receivers go in the 2nd round, and by the time you get to this pick right here, you're looking at guaranteed Garrett Wilson or Bijan or Diggs or somebody that you could argue is a top 3 player at their running back or wide receiver position. And so you grab that, you grab that same type of upside at a running back or a wide receiver position here. And you don't have to follow this exact format, but I'm telling you, this is the winning Superflex draft strategy if you get a top 5 or 6 overall pick, is to draft against traffic here. And is it Dynasty or redraft?
It's redraft.
Okay. In Dynasty, these guys...
So yeah, you would take like a Henry, a Chubb, or a Pollard, or obviously not Jacobs, but you take like whoever falls next.
I mean, of your liking, yes. I don't know that I'd take those guys, but process, not player. Then when you get back in round 4, you got to evaluate what the quarterback situation looks like, because the quarterback climate in your draft is going to be different than the next guys. So we can't just assume you're going to have Aaron Rodgers and Love even available, or they could fall to 5 and 6. But me, if I'm getting a Fields or better with this pick right here, and then I can get a Jordan Love in 5 or Aaron Rodgers in 4, I don't necessarily think I'd go both, even though 3 quarterbacks is nice. But like, if you could pull this off, Aaron Rodgers here, you're gonna have such an amazing team, bro. You're gonna have, I'm gonna put Fields because I love Fields. So I'm gonna say Fields with your first pick. Bijan might even fall to that 2nd round pick of yours. Maybe he doesn't. We'll say Garrett Wilson. Falls.
What about 4? What if I went, I'm hoping Gibbs, but he'll probably be gone, and then maybe ETN or then Walker, and then get Charbonnet at number 10 at 4.
Well, Gibbs might, let's say you reached in round 3 for him even. Okay, so you come out.
4, it's really early.
It is, and it is. It just depends on the flow. If he's very far down, if he's very far down the rankings, then yeah, let him go to 4. So let's just assume that happens. Let's assume you get Jordan Love in round 5. Okay, so Love in 5, Gibbs in 4, and in 3 you go Olave. Okay, so Olave in 3, Garrett Wilson in 2, Fields in 1. This team right here is a monopoly on the talent, bro. And the way you can reverse engineer and dissect your team after the fact is what I always say is can this team dominate? Can you draft this team in a 1 QB league? And if you can answer yes, then you may have reached and not built a very good team. If the answer is I actually couldn't even draft this in a or it's exactly on par with the 1 QB draft, you successfully implemented a Superflex draft, especially from this draft slot. So you ask yourself, so these are the Superflex rounds, right? These are the Superflex rounds right here. Okay, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we look over here. Who's your first rounder over here? First rounder is Garrett Wilson. Who's your second rounder over here? Second rounder is Olave. Who's your third rounder over here? Gibbs in a 1 QB, easily worth a third round pick at this point. Who's your fourth rounder? This is where, you could squeeze Fields in as a fourth rounder. Maybe you get another player in the next round even that is capable of being a fourth round talent like Watson. Like I bet you could get Watson as well. I did in the Scott Fishbowl. So if you get Watson potentially in 5 or 6 or London, let's say you get London. Watson, actually, I don't know who's going to fall further. I'm seeing it flip-flop. London's probably more likely. Ron, would you say London's more likely to fall than Watson at this point?
I don't think I don't think either one are falling, but Watson's ahead of them by like 3 or 4. They used to be neck and neck, right
Okay,
beside
let's
each
put
other.
let's put London here. London's falling to round 5 a lot of the time in 1 QB. Not all the time, but he does. So in Superflex, he could definitely be there in 6. So again, who's your first rounder in a 1 QB league? Garrett Wilson. Second rounder, Olave. Third rounder, Gibbs. Fourth rounder, let's put London. And you're flip-flopping that. Fifth rounder would be Fields. Bro, this team you could draft in a 1 QB league, and that's where I look at it and I say, damn. And let me give you the inverse of this, because you're probably saying, okay, Smitty, how does this make sense? What are you really talking about here? Okay, so let's use the example of somebody that drafted in the Scott Fishbowl of a team that I didn't quite like the approach. I love the guy; he's a cool dude, but I didn't like the approach. He took JT in round 1 in the Superflex. So these are the Superflex rounds. Okay, and so he took JT in round 1. He took Tua in round 2. He took Danny Dimes in round 3. And I forget who he took in 4. But my point is, once you get to like this 4th round player, which, who was it that he took in 4? I'm trying to think. And a Superflex, you'd probably be looking at round 4, you'd probably be looking at, trying to think of a round 3 guy we could throw in here. Let's just say it was Ridley, because that's a guy that you could get in round 3, and you get him at 4 in a Superflex. But you start looking at this, and you say to yourself, in a redraft or in a 1 QB, who's my round 1 guy? Well, JT's borderline, but we'll call him the round 1 guy. Who's the round 2 guy? He doesn't have one. He doesn't have a guy you could qualify as a round 2 guy at all in a normal 1 QB setting. And so you get to Ridley and it's 3. Who's his round 4 guy? Doesn't really have one. Like, so you look at it and it's like you reverse engineer it, and that's the way I think after the fact you can tell if you dominated your Superflex draft. Is that and the reason I say that is because quarterbacks are inflated value, right? In a Superflex, they're worth way more. So if you go back to the basics and say in a 1 QB, if I was to devalue the quarterback position real quickly in my mind and say it's a 1 QB league, does this team still fit in a 1 QB league setting? And this team does not. This team can't survive in a 1 QB setting. So if I land that Jordan Love pick, then I dominated the Superflex draft. I dominated it. If you have Fields and you have Love as your 2 QBs, and then you come away with what did we say? It was Garrett Wilson, Olave. Who else did we have on this team?
Gibbs, I think.
Yeah, it was Gibbs. Instead of London or Christian Watson, you might have Walker here, because he definitely would fall. So that team right there in a Superflex, if you land Love or Aaron Rodgers, this team crushes. It absolutely crushes. In a normal setting, this is a round 1 guy. In a normal setting, this is a round 2 guy. In a normal setting, this is a round 3 guy. This is a round 4 guy. This is a round 5 guy. You're not missing a beat. And if you land this right here, there's no way you should have a team unless you dominate the draft that could actually survive a 1 QB draft. Boom. That's how you. It's like a
4th or 5th round in Superflex.
In Superflex, he's a 5th or a 6th rounder. You might be able to get Walker around 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you got to add at least a round. You got to add at least a round to everybody's ADP when you jump into a Superflex.
Okay. Oh, is it all right if I say something negative about Justin Fields?
You can, but at the risk of me, barking at you.
He's it's not the ranking, he should be ranked, 5th. Or whatever you have him at, but and if he gets 1,000 yards and stays healthy 17 games, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. It's just when he's talking about throwing for 4,000 yards, yeah, he's got the height and size, but like he hasn't even thrown for Vic's 3,300 when Vic used to step back and had a wide open pocket.
Bro, this is a really irrelevant conversation to have, because you're judging a man off of this is the same thing on repeat. This is all anybody ever says about him, but he did do it last year. He didn't have anybody to throw to, bro. He had nobody to throw to. How are you judging Fields' ability to throw yardage and touchdowns when he was scrambling his entire season, and any completions he did end up pulling off were on second chance routes where receivers were coming back because their route tree ended, and the fact that he didn't throw more than 11 INTs when he was scrambling for his life, and when he did decide to throw half the time he was running, the fact that he had 11 INTs should make your jaw drop, and the fact that he was able to, instead of just fail. Do you realize that what Fields did last year was remarkable? No. You say, oh, he ran a lot of yards, but he didn't do well throwing the football. Do you know most quarterbacks would have folded, busted, looked like an absolute disaster, and you would have no faith in them whatsoever walking into this season? He took an absolute nothing burger season that had no shot of success, and he still almost carried the team on his back every single game. Like I don't think people realize how good he did last year, and how much kudos you should be showering him with when he almost won games single-handedly. And just because he threw for a low yardage total, it's just head scratching to me when I say he could throw for 4,000 yards. People are like, "What? You can't take last year's numbers and add that many yards and say 4,000? Why can't I?" I said the same thing about Josh Allen. You know how many people came in and said Josh Allen will never be a good gunslinger? You got to be out of your minds. And same thing with Jalen Hurts. Come on. Like, look at what Justin Fields was dealing with. He had nothing, bro. It's like my banking example. If you're a banker and you're the only banker that showed up to work, and you got one teller, one banker, no branch manager, no assistant branch manager. It's a two-man show at the busiest branch in your city. And you got to line out the door, and you see this guy executing over and over and over. Every customer that comes up, he closes them, he upsells. He's an amazing banker with everybody sitting at his desk. But you got to line out the door, and the numbers are god-awful. And the district manager of the bank comes over and goes, "Bob, you had a shitty day. You helped 16 people, and I have 47 complaints and 100 people that didn't get helped. What in the hell were you doing all day, Bob?" Bob was executing like a master, like a ninja, like a banking ninja. But all you guys see that are so negative and critical of Justin Fields was he didn't have numbers. The numbers weren't there, Smitty. The numbers weren't there. When all the guy did was carry the entire team on his back every single play, every single game, figured out a way to throw only 11 INTs, figured out a way to not cause more problems than he was fixing, and try and skate by and lead this team to much closer losses than they should have been, and it came out looking like a magician despite anybody else going in that environment and looking like dog water. Like I'm just baffled by people that think he can't throw for 3,600 yards to 4,000 yards. Just baffled because of last year's numbers.
Thing is, Schmitty, no, I just look at it like it's very easy to see arm ability. It's who's going to play in baseball. If you're coaching, this guy's left field, this guy's center field.
Bro, he can
Randy
launch missiles. What are you talking about? That's the other thing that's head scratching. Watch the film. He's a missile
the top
thrower.
Dog in the field to the knot. It's like Ken Griffey Jr. You're in center field. Okay, Barry, you're in left. You know what I mean?
No,
this is very easy to see.
No.
Where they belong.
Okay, agree. Actually, I do agree with you. It's very easy to see that he's a drop back passer. And you just don't. You've been looking at Excel sheets. That's all you're looking at. You're looking at data that says you're not, though. Because if you're looking at Fields throw the football, you see a guy that has a cannon. You see a guy that at his pro day was launching missiles down the field.
I go Disque Auto. When I see it, I'll tell you when I see it.
No, we're not letting you on the train. I'm taking away your Bijan card.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
It's unbelievable.
It's like when Favre would throw it hard, and Madden would say, "Oh, he put the mustard on the brat with that one, Pat."
I don't agree with any. You act like I'm on your side on this or agreeing with anything you're saying. I'm not. When I see Fields throw the football, I see a guy that can toss a missile down the field. I see a guy that could be a gunslinger in the NFL. You know what I don't see? I don't cast judgment early. I don't look at this guy and say, he can't be a 4,000-yard passer. I'm not judging him based on having no players or support whatsoever for the amount of time he's been in the NFL. I see a guy that should be doing what he's doing with no help or support. The fact that this writing isn't on the wall for so many people is just, I love it though. I know a lot of people think I'm mad and that I don't like when people disagree with me. First of all, this is an opinion show. This is not a news-based, factual information. This is always going to be my opinion, and I'm always going to be screaming my opinion when I'm passionate about something. I might be wrong. The callers might disagree. Me yelling about my take over your take doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the conversation or want you to call with your take. Those people don't understand me when they think, Smitty just gets mad at everybody that doesn't agree with them and he can't stand when people don't agree with him. That's not what this show is. This show is about me getting my point across, and if my point isn't the vibe out there, my job is to deliver it again and again as best I can until the whistle blows and the game starts, and then we sit back. And the people that follow, maybe they benefit more times than not. That's my goal. My goal is to hit as many things as I can. But just because I'm yelling and screaming about it, that typically means that there's some pushback and I'm trying to get my message across even harder and better and stronger than before. That's all this show is. I think I get miscategorized as a person that can't handle somebody disagreeing with me, and that's not the case. Otherwise, why would I have an open phone line? Let's really think about this for a second. If I'm somebody that's got such thin skin, which I don't. I got the thickest skin around, other than Ron Navy. Ron Navy's got probably a little thicker skin than I do. But I've got thick skin, especially with people on my show. Maybe in my personal life, I'm a little different. Miss Smitty could hurt my feelings if she didn't like the yard work that I did or something like that. I'm a human being. But in terms of me in this show and my role, it doesn't bother me at all. If I'm screaming, that doesn't mean it bothers me. It doesn't mean it bothers me at all. But if I had thin skin at all, why would I open my phone line and subject myself to somebody coming negatively at me? What other analyst allows anybody to call in and argue their point or tell them that they're wrong? Nobody. So it does get a little irritating when someone says I got thin skin and all I do is yell at somebody if they disagree. No, this is a debate show. This is a debate show. Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless or whoever the hell is on that show now, are they not arguing back and forth? Is that not what people want? And it's not that I'm fabricating anything. I'm going to get very passionate and loud when I feel like a message needs to be heard. And usually that's when not a lot of people are on board or there's enough haters against the message. Like, am I going to come out here and go, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the... No, a lot of people believe that. I don't need to go to war or go to bat.
It's funny. It's funny you said
you
that,
might be...
but other analysts other analysts, you say anything negative to them, oh my God, it's like they got to be right 100% of the time, even if they're wrong. And you're not like that. We can have good debates back and forth with you. And the other thing about Fields, a lot of people aren't realizing, or they're not talking about. We're talking about him not having weapons and all this. Look at the garbage coaching carousel he's had to go through 3 years he's been there. So Nagy and
it's
all
still
the other garbage coaches.
Good point.
Yeah. So I mean, you expect him. He's just gotta, he's gotta contend with all that too.
Hold on one second. What's garbage? What did you just say, Ethan?
The team that finished dead last. Yeah, they're garbage.
Who's garbage? Clarify.
The coach, I can't remember his name anymore.
Well, I'm waiting to hear you make a point. You're not making a point yet. You're just saying the guy. You know the guy. You sound like Biden right now. What do you know the guy?
I feel like Shooter McGavin. Yeah, how'd he finish? Dead last? Yeah, he did real good though.
What are you talking about? Explain yourself. I don't know what you're saying. You're not using names. You're forgetting what you're even talking about.
The coaching staff.
Who?
I can't even remember his
name. You don't even know what you're saying.
We're talking about the Bears.
Okay, so you're talking about the Bears. You're saying the Bears. Yeah. Okay, so what you're saying, the Bears are a carousel of garbage at quarterback?
No, that's coaching.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. I mean, I've called into Bears radio
you know the guy.
That Kevin White was a mistake.
You know the guy. The guy. What guy? I don't know. The guy. The guy's bad. What guy? I don't know the guy's name. He's just bad.
Hey, the fantasy counselor said it's Bijam Robinson.
Yeah, well, he
told me it was Bijam.
Okay, if you believe, and I don't know if you do believe anybody that can't pronounce their names right, but do what you got to do. All right, Ethan. Anything else? What else you got? Hey, hold on. Actually, Ethan, hang tight. Let's go over to Okafor. Okafor's been waiting very patiently to be negative. He hasn't said anything for a while. Go ahead, Okafor.
I let my fellow negative brother Ethan drive the stairs a little bit,
How you feeling about Fields? Not lately. Have you changed your tune on him at all since the last time we yelled at each other?
Every time we have a conversation about someone, my mind ends up getting changed just a bit, and then I'll dabble in.
That's something, bro.
Now, Fields by far has changed the most, just because the Bears. I don't think he's going to have a 4,000, 1,000 passing yard season. Like, personally, I don't think DJ Moore is a good enough receiver to help Fields leap into that. I don't have enough faith in DJ Moore to believe he can help.
Hey, can I pause you real quick, Okafor? I don't mean to interrupt you, and you definitely can just interrupt back when you want to speak, and especially if you want to speak on this topic, because I forget what you said about Ridley. But Michael King. Calvin Ridley is a bust. He hasn't played since before the pandemic, and hard pass for me since the pandemic. He says hard pass for him. This is an interesting take. I could see somebody, predicting that he comes back, can't handle the fast-paced NFL after being on the shelf for too long. I can understand it, but the way you're putting it is like it's already happened, or you don't see the upside at all. And I just would love to talk to someone like Michael and to say, okay, I get that at the end of the day you don't think it works out, and I could at least accept that that's your take. But Calvin really is a bust. He hasn't played. Like, are you watching what he's doing on the field though right now? Are you at all intrigued and maybe open-minded at all, Michael, to say like the guy looks like an absolute magician on the field right now? He's quick. He's electric. His hands are glorious. His quarterback's on the rise. He's got a golden mane that's soaked in milk every day. Trevor Lawrence, the law dog. I just don't know how somebody could be so hard against Ridley versus like maybe I'm going to pass on Ridley and just, I can understand that. I'm not mad at anybody that says, based on where Ridley's going, I'd rather go here. I get that. Ron's even said that with Christian Kirk, and I at least respect that. It's not about Ridley's a bust. Ridley's a bust. I'd rather go after this guy. I do that all the time. I'd rather have Walker than draft a running back. Like instead of drafting Eckler, who I'm worried about getting injured, I would draft Walker and then go wide receiver in round, whatever. Or go Jamar Chase instead of going running back and then take my running back later like Gibbs or Walker. I just feel like the balance of that feels better. I can understand all that. But this is not that. This is a guy that's literally, I think, watching Ridley do well and has already doubled down so many times on that it won't work. This is, Michael, I believe you're not very, very capable of adjusting and adapting. That would be my assessment, the psychology of Smitty, bringing the psychology to the show. I would say this is doubling down. This feels like a double down statement. There's no open-mindedness. He could come out and have 3 touchdowns in week 1. You know what Michael's probably going to say? He's going to get hurt still. You watch. You're not going to accept it. You're never going to accept it. And I would urge you to take a second look at what Ridley's looking like. And Ridley might not go in round 3. Ridley might go in round 4. If you can get Ridley in 4, let me go ahead and pull up Underdog ADP and see where Ridley's going right now. As of this moment, Ridley's in the 30.7 territory. That is in the 3rd round. But I've seen him fall to the top of 4, and I just wonder if Michael would even take him at the top of 4. Let me go over to Avi real quick, and then Okafor, if you have something else you want to add, or Ron, you can interrupt. But Avi, go ahead. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Topics kind of right now I'd like to stay in a little bit, and if you could, and then if you want to ask an additional question, Ridley, Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow, and I haven't even got to JSN yet. Real quickly, let me get to JSN just for 1 second, bro. Just real quickly, hang tight, Avi. Geno Smith praised rookie wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba following Wednesday's practice. He said, quote, "He can do it all, man." Geno Smith said about his wide receiver. He's a great player. Jackson is one of those guys who, if you put him out there one-on-one, he's going to win his battles. And we've been seeing that so far. Jackson Smith-Njigba is becoming one of my favorite middle round wide receivers to grab, and I admittedly wasn't feeling quite that way in the beginning of the offseason because it feels like a crowded situation there with Geno Smith, who's good, and he's definitely not written back, and we've heard all the stories, and I definitely am not doubting Geno of being capable. I just feel like maybe the run-heavy system mixed with Geno maybe still needing to prove it, in my eyes, to feed 3 wide receivers. That's probably what's been holding me back, or it has been for sure what's been holding me back. But I circle back to this fact that this guy's played in crowded wide receiver rooms before. And if he's in the slot, even though they're going to run a lot of personnel that won't necessarily put 3 wide receivers out onto the field all the time, and that's the nature of the Seattle attack is, okay, you're not going to always have 3 wide receivers out on the field. So if he's playing slot, what's that mean for him? We've got to think that Pete Carroll's smart. Pete Carroll's smart. And he drafted a player at a position that wasn't necessarily a dire need, but he's doing it for a reason. And I think he's going to start implementing more 3 wide receiver sets than we anticipate because we're trying to just use last year and extrapolating it over. That's the lazy, regular analyst thinking is what happened last year happens this year. Like Ron said, copy paste. JSN might actually be able to do what he did in college with Garrett Wilson and Olave on the roster. This man outperformed both of them and had one of the best college football receiving seasons we've ever seen, and he outperformed both those guys. And that's not a knock on either guy. It's just to say that in crowded rooms, we have seen him float to the top. So I've been digesting that a lot lately, and I've also been thinking about how old man Lockett, we don't know. He could definitely last, in another year. But I think JSN at his cost, which feels like almost wide receiver 3 territory, top high end wide receiver 3 territory, is very, very solid. And if Lockett were to go down or DK were to go down, and I don't think that's that crazy of a thing to envision because Lockett's older and DK Metcalf is just such a big body hitting the ground that I feel like he comes with a certain amount of risk level given his body fat so low, and there's a lot of injuries tied to, almost too low body fat. And then you got this guy that's just massive being that's constantly hitting the ground like David Boston. If anybody remembers David Boston for the Arizona Cardinals, he was too big to stay healthy. He was just too big to stay healthy. And Njoku in Cleveland is almost too big to stay healthy. There's kind of like a formula for like concern with the guy that's almost too monstrous. So, like, I'm not saying that DK is going to get hurt, and I still like DK. I'm just merely saying there is a path for him to get into the number 2 wide receiver role, even without injury, and is certainly present with injury. I'm starting to get really excited, but where he climbs will certainly alter whether I stay in or get back out if he was to climb multiple rounds. I just really like where he's floating around right now. Jackson Smith-Njigba is falling to about, I'm looking at wide receiver data right now, and he's going at wide receiver, let's see here, wide receiver, let's see here. He's going at about 62 overall.
32.
Yeah, 62 overall, and that's fantastic. I mean, when you look at other wide receivers around him, above him, Hollywood Brown. Above that, Chris Godwin. Above that, Deontay Johnson. Above that, Brandon Ayuk. And I know Ayuk could have a good year too. I'm not saying he can't, but those are all players that I'm taking JSN over with a smile, personally. And right below him is Lockett, believe it or not. He's going below him. Pittman below that. Mike Evans, who I like, but he's getting older and he's got no quarterback situation. Dotson's below that. I love Dotson more than JSN, by the way, and that's why I love Dotson's value so much. I mean, you don't even have to take JSN or Dotson, one or the other. You can take JSN and then draft the guy you even like better, Dotson, the next round. So that's my JSN rant. I'll let Ron respond to that after Avi comes in with his question. Go ahead, Avi.
Yo, what's going on, Smitty? So,
up?
I'm staying on the Calvin Ridley topic a little.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going back to a trade I did like a month ago. So I got Fields, Calvin Ridley, and Knox. This is Superflex, by the way. And I traded Jamar Chase, Daniel Jones, and TJ Hawkinson. And I'm actually really liking the deal now.
Repeat that one more time.
Yeah. So I got Hawkinson, I got Fields, and I got Calvin Ridley. I got those 3, and I traded Jamar Chase, Daniel Jones, and TJ Hawkinson.
You just said Hawkinson twice.
Yeah.
No, you. Who did you get with Fields and Ridley? Because you said Hawkinson just a second ago.
I got Knox.
Okay. So you got rid of Chase, Hawkinson, and who else?
Daniel Jones.
And it's Superflex?
Yeah.
Okay, Superflex is a big difference here. So anybody watching with the redraft 1 QB hat on right now, make sure you understand that in Superflex, Fields is dominating even over Chase. Chase is like a 10, 11, 12, like 9, 10, 11, 12 overall player, Jamar Chase in the Superflex. This is arguably
He's nasty, yeah. It was a tough trade when I did it, but I'm kind of liking it now. Honestly, I think Ridley's going to be nasty.
I like this trade because I think Ridley is so much closer, like light years closer to Chase than Fields than Daniel Jones to Fields. The only thing I would say is I guess some of this trade could depend on how is it tight end premium.
No, I know Hawkins. I lost the tight end side. I know that, but I don't really worry about that. I mean, I'm not too worried.
Tight end premium would kind of not correct it all the way, but it would close the gap a little bit, but it still wouldn't necessarily make me run away. Why? Because I'd still try and buy low on like a Conquo, or Kincaid or something like that. All right, Avi, hang on one second. Let me put this caller on hold. 267 caller, you're live on the show. Who's this? Samuel, hang tight for me, my guy, and I'm going to put you on hold, and I'll circle back. Try and keep the mouth breathing to a minimum. Just mute yourself if there's any craziness, like if you're doing laundry in the background or something like that. You said Samuel?
Samuel, yeah.
And where are you calling from, you said?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, okay. Oh, yeah. Let's talk a little Atlanta Falcons in a second, bro. Hang tight. Okay, Avi, go ahead with your wrapping up what you're saying here.
Yeah. So I think it's a good deal. I like Jamar Chase. I think Ridley, he's going to be a low-end wide receiver too. He's going to put up good numbers. I think Daniel Jones will be okay, but Fields got ability to be a top 3 quarterback. So. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And Michael King, appreciate your negative comment here. Definitely, definitely. I don't mind it. That's for sure. I mean, tell your friends. And I do appreciate you. I don't want you to think I don't like you. I just the take. I like the take because it makes Ridley's value better. Hiding in the bathroom, avoiding in-laws, 45 minutes. Cool, says Shoddy. Shoddy, call in if you want. Call in from the can if you want. Just whisper. Just keep the flushing to a minimum. But Shoddy, we're here for you. Thank you for the $2 hauler. Ziggy, show me the front door. Ziggy, show me the front door. Oh, it's a little Smitty. Ziggy off. John with the $2 hauler says Ridley entered the chat. Thank you, John, for the super chat. Thank you, Shoddy, for the super chat. Ziggy off. So anyway, let's go over to hang tight here, Avi. Hang tight, Ron Navy. Hang tight, Okafor. And let's head over to, who was it? Samuel from Atlanta. Samuel, tell me how much you love Bijan there in Atlanta. Tell me. I mean,
we love Bijan here. Can't wait to watch him.
Bro,
I got a Brees Hall question for you, though.
Okay.
All right, so Brees Hall. I have Brees Hall and I have the 103. Now, I'm getting offered Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, and the 106. Do I take this offer?
Whoa.
I have Najee Harris.
Whoa. You're getting rid of Brees Hall. And what else?
And the 103.
1.3, and you're getting
the 106.
Okay.
ETN and Cooper Kupp.
Jeez, bro. Pure Dynasty?
Dynasty, Superflex.
Pure Dynasty, Superflex.
I got Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Najee, Brees.
Okay, so can I lock in Jahmyr Gibbs into the 1.3? Like, are you ultra confident it's not going Bijan Gibbs?
The guy right before me, he loves his running backs. So I can see that. I'm not 100% sure Gibbs is going to fall.
You think the guy at 1's taking Bijan for sure?
Yeah, 1 is definitely Bijan. 2 could be Gibbs.
What's the guy? What's the number 2 overall? The number 2 overall guy. What's his quarterback situation?
It's terrible, but I'm not sure he's great at fantasy football because he has David Mills, he has Mariota.
Oh God,
Trey Lance.
How is he going to not go quarterback? How is he not going to go quarterback?
Exactly, he's a wild card.
But you don't know that. See, that sucks because what I'll say is this: if this was Gibbs, we could look at this in a different light. So Hall and Gibbs over who the hell knows who you're getting here. Let's even call that like. I don't know. One
Addison.
of the Addison. Okay, so we'll call this Addison.
Yeah.
So Addison plus ETN plus Cooper Kupp versus Hall and Gibbs. From a 1-year perspective, this right here is going to outscore the ETN Addison Kupp is going to outscore the Hall and Gibbs side potentially.
Yeah.
But from a dynasty perspective, Kupp's going to fall off, I think, rather quickly. He's 30 years old.
Right.
I love ETN, but in being honest, we don't really know what exactly his value is going to hold true to. And these two guys are in my top 5 running backs, both of them. So, like, in a dynasty perspective, I want this, but it sounds to me like this Gibbs situation is very, very shaky. So, if it's the 1.3 and it's not Gibbs or Bijan, this side is going to win, the ETN, Cooper Kupp, and Addison side.
Right. What about Bryce Young and Richardson?
Well, what's your quarterback situation look like? Because I am glossing over it from a general perspective. So let's hit it more deeply.
Right.
All right, who's your
Because
quarterback?
I have Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, so you're fine. So you don't need Anthony Richardson. Not that Anthony Richardson is an amazing trade value, but he's still a project that you don't know. Like if you draft him, you might not be able to trade him right away. And what if he busts and then you get nothing? If it's Gibbs, right. I'd rather have the Gibbs and Hall side by a mile. If it's not Gibbs, I think this side's better.
Right. That's a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, it's tough. Yeah. It's tough, and you're also looking at like, what's the benefit of winning now versus in the future. Can you win? Is it $500 to the first place, $1,000 to first place, $1,500, or is it like a $5 league? So winning now might be more important to you than not. I don't know. So what's the likelihood of the league crumbling? those kind of things need to be factored in. But good question. And real quickly, let me answer this super chat from Corey. Corey with a $10 hauler. All $10 haulers get a moonshot. Let's see here. Corey said, where is this? Corey, where are you at? Let me put this back on screen. Corey says, no way people are freaking out about Chase and Burrow. Burrow is falling to 6 or 7. Really? Ron, we haven't talked about this yet. Has Jamar Chase fallen in any one of your drafts?
Chase?
Yeah, that's what Corey's saying. The
No,
Burrow. You said the Burrow concern is having Chase. Burrow is. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Maybe I read this wrong. Freaking out about Chase. No way people are freaking out about Chase. Burrow is falling to 6 or 7 in the last couple of 12-man drafts. Love the show. Okay, I thought he was saying that Chase was falling to 6 or 7 overall. I read it wrong. But if people are freaking out about Joe Burrow, it is a very good point to wonder if people are going to drop Chase to 3 or 4. I mean, how can you freak out about Joe Burrow and not freak out about Chase? Doesn't make any sense. Not a lot, but just like 1 or 2 draft slots. Like if you're going to drop Joe Burrow, not me. We're talking about, Bob's out there. If Bob is willing to drop Joe Burrow into freaking round 6 or 7,
Yeah, I haven't seen Chase drop yet.
Okay. We'll have to watch that because it makes sense that somebody would react that way. We'll have to check it out. But if Chase doesn't move from number 2 overall, then that means that I don't know, everybody's not really truly believing Burrow's going to be a problem, but yet they're letting it affect Burrow's value, but they're not letting it affect Chase's value. Because if Burrow's not there, Chase is not doing anything close to the same. Same thing would go for any elite wide receiver. I mean, could he still deliver okay numbers? Sure. But like, look at Tyreek Hill without Tua. Tyreek Hill is probably going to get you a lot of yards, but he's not going to have near the touchdown upside. And Jamar Chase is a 15 to 18 touchdown wide receiver to me this year. And you guys can at me all you want. I think he scores 15 plus touchdowns. I think he has 1,500 yards, 100 plus receptions. If Joe Burrow is not in the lineup, which I'm not advocating that's, I'm not telling you that's going to happen. I'm saying Joe Burrow's fine. But if people are freaking out about Burrow, it's a good point, Corey. I don't know why we're not seeing Jamar Chase move unless people are just, their true feelings are coming out by Chase going high. And I guess all it takes is 1 or 2 people to draft Chase number 2. But like, what if the person at number 2, like you would think over time, maybe the ADP needs to be updated. Ron hasn't seen any kind of movement on Chase, but we're seeing huge movement on Burrow. It doesn't make sense. God, that'd be great if Jamar Chase fell to like 4.
Well, people are tickled though, Smitty. I mean, look, JJ's like the 1 or 2 receiver in the world, right? But I mean, look where Cousins is drafted. Somebody's got to throw in the ball, and that's not just that case. It's any great receiver with a quarterback has got to throw in the ball. So it happens all the time where the quarterback might not be valued as high as they are.
I don't think Chase is going to drop unless they said Burrow's missing regular season games, which they have not said.
Right, and I agree with that. But I'm just saying, how in the hell is Jamar Chase dropping? I'm sorry, Joe Burrow dropping, but Jamar Chase isn't. Like it would correlate a little bit. Like Chase would go to number 3 overall, and he's not. So it is weird. I wonder if we'll see it. I haven't heard a lot about it. Corey brought it up for the first time. Ron hasn't seen it. He's seen Burrow fall, but he hasn't seen Chase fall. But it doesn't make sense that Chase isn't dropping at all, like into number 3.
For the backup quarterback.
Well, the backup. Let me just see who didn't they draft. Hold on, Johnny let me put Johnny on hold. Johnny from Kansas, hang tight for me real quick, okay, bro?
What
were you calling about, by the way?
I was just going to hop in about why Burrow's dropping and Chase isn't.
I'm on mute. Trevor Simeon's slated as the backup.
I didn't even think. I thought maybe we got disconnected.
Yeah, no, I hit the mute button on accident. Trevor Simeon's the backup in Cincinnati, which isn't really strong. Why wouldn't you, like, can I ask a question? If I was running things in Cincy, I'd bring in Wentz. I'm not saying Wentz is good. Please don't think I think Wentz is going to win a championship or anything like that. But if you needed a quarterback for like 2 games, and Joe Burrow, let's say Joe Burrow struggled with the calf for week 2 and 3 because he didn't get rid of it or something, like, wouldn't you want Wentz in there instead of Trevor Simeon? Like, why are teams just leaving like Wentz out there when he's probably better than some of the backups? I'm not in love with him. I don't think he's a good, quarterback really long term or anything. But give me Wentz over Simeon.
They should pay Mike Glennon and Josh Rosen more money.
Yeah.
Wentz will lose.
Or you know what? I look. This always gets the weirdest reaction from people. I don't understand why. Like, I get why people want to react this way, but if you think about it logically, no one is saying this is your starter. Okay, so calm down. But why not Cam Newton? Why wouldn't you bring Cam Newton because of the distraction? Maybe if something happened, God forbid, let's not use Burrow's name. Somebody else goes down. Knock on wood. One of the top 6 quarterbacks. Maybe then you bring him in because you don't want the distraction. He's a media distraction, really. But how is Cam Newton not a better backup than almost every backup quarterback in the National Football League? Like, it's not a guy. He's not a guy you want starting for you. I'm just saying, if you were in a pinch for 1 or 2 games and he could go rush for two touchdowns, how is that not something that you want to get behind? I just don't understand. If I was the Bengals, I would bring him in as the backup. Him or Wentz.
I would bring in. I would go to the USFL and bring in AJ McCarron, who's already been there.
That's true.
And he's had success with the Bengals. And I think McCarron would be a great backup quarterback there.
Yeah. And whenever I talk about Cam, all I hear are people that say, "Oh, he's horrible." They hear, for some reason they hear starter. I'm not saying starter. I'm just saying you got to win 2 games. You're telling me the Niners wouldn't have had a better shot at winning that playoff game if Cam Newton wasn't sitting on the bench and he came in? If Cam Newton went into the game, they would have been able to push the ball down the field. He's not the same guy he used to be, but Cam Newton can score you a touchdown when you need it. So I'm just saying, like, if I'm the Bengals, if I'm any team that has no backup quarterback whatsoever, that's what Tom Brady coming back to play, that would be interesting when Dingo. That would be crazy.
I love what Cam did for the kids, but I did laugh last year when he was looking at the camera with the towel on his head and just looking straight at it as he got pulled. It was kind of funny. I don't know why. But.
Yeah, Ron, wouldn't you say Cam's better than Simeon though? Like if you needed to win 2 games.
Probably.
I mean, if you need to,
I still like better.
People have such an adverse reaction to that statement. I don't know why. Like I don't know why. He's not great, but people got to remember too. He got cut when he had probably the best preseason that he's had in a long time, and he going into that Mac Jones year, and then they cut him. They just cut him. They said we don't want the distraction because then we want to give Mac everything we can. But anyway.
Because he didn't get the shot.
Yeah.
I think the 5th shot.
Let me back up why I said, and I know I threw his name out there, but I mean, and I said USFL instead of XFL. XFL. He was the XFL passing touchdowns leader. He was also the XFL's passer rating leader, and he was the completion percentage leader in 2020. These are all 2023 last stats for the XFL.
Yeah, I agree.
And he knows their system. I mean, pretty much. I mean, he was there. I would go out, grab him, and bring him in. I think he's better than any of those.
That would be interesting. I look at Simeon and I say to myself, like, what are we doing here? Go get Carson Wentz. Go get Carson Wentz is sitting out there right now. Not a great starter by any means. You're not winning a playoff game with Carson Wentz under center, but you need a win. Joe Burrow's, abducted safely and returned by aliens, but he's out for 2 weeks. Carson Wentz is giving you a chance to win one of the 2 games. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Or sure, McCarron, whatever. All right, hey, let's circle around the phone line. I got to come back and do. What?
I mean, obviously, XFL isn't. Well, D-Town's like, the Rock could get 12 sacks in the XFL. But, I mean, it's no different than any other minor team, or it's a semi-pro team or whatever they call pros. But, I mean, he's in shape. They're playing. They're playing. So he's already in shape. He's already been playing. So he would be somebody that you could bring in for a couple games that's already playing, already in game shape, and be able to come in and fill in right away. Other than Wentz not in game shape.
Yeah, I'd still bring in I don't mind your idea. I'm just saying I'd bring in Wentz right now and I'd put him on the roster. I wouldn't leave him out there because if injury strikes like Jimmy G, which is probably as likely as Jacobs, saying something stupid to the media, I think you're going to lose the opportunity. All right, hey, let's circle around the phone line. I got to come back and draft tonight. We're drafting on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Tonight we're drafting. I'm going to drop the link right now and I'm going to pin it in the live chat. It's also a link that's in the description of every single video. They'll match up to $100 on the first deposit that you make with Underdog if you use the link that I just dropped, or you use promo code Smitty. The link puts promo code Smitty in there for you. If you want to draft tonight, you got to click that and get in there now so you're not trying to sign up last second and you're like, Smitty, wait, don't start the draft yet. I want to get in. I'm going to pin that right now in the chat. There it is. It is pinned. Appreciate you all. Let's circle around the phone line and get back here for draft night tonight. Also, I've got a premiere set to go in. It hasn't gone yet, right? Hold on. Did I set the time wrong? I got a premiere. No, it's upcoming. Premiere begins looks like 35 minutes. I got a premiere. I decided to do a little reality show. I don't know how much you guys are as a whole interested in like me having 12 to 13 to 15 episodes a year on just what's going on here in the studio, what goes on with the fantasy football content creator life. Think of it like I don't know, any reality show that you watch on TV. Just the life of whatever's going on. So I have episode 1 premiering in 35 minutes. Let me know if you enjoy it. I hope all of you are in that premiere in 35 minutes. We come back and do live drafting after that. So jam-packed couple 6 hours with 3 different videos, 2 live streams, 1 video. But I'd love to see you guys all in that premiere. It premieres in 35 minutes on my YouTube channel. It's called The Smithers. And it's basically like keeping up with the Smithers. Instead of the Kardashians, you're keeping up with the Smithers. I don't know how involved Miss Smitty and Little Smitties will be in this, but there's a lot that kind of goes on in this first episode. It's about, I want to say it's about 25 minutes long. Every episode will be about 30 minutes long, like a typical reality show. And I'm hopefully you guys want to see more of it. And you'll kind of see, especially as we get closer to August, you'll see me on I'll record like draft calls, and you'll hear me walk somebody through a draft, and maybe they screw it up, and it'll be pretty entertaining. Right now I'm doing my yard, so there's a lot going on during the filming of this little episode for this week. I just basically filmed a lot of what happened this week, put it into a condensed 25-minute show, and that premieres in T-minus 35 minutes. Let's see here. Let's go to Ethan real quickly. Ethan, final thoughts, and then I'm going to circle back on over to Samuel from Atlanta. So 10 seconds, Ethan, go.
Smitty, have you, for your calf, have you tried using a boot, sleeping with a boot at night?
Sleeping with a boot. Why would I do that?
Yeah, it's like keeps it in a flex, because like the wall stretch for your calf, it's probably saying, oh, stop doing that. And then when you go run, like me, my Achilles wants to pop. My cattle dog will just take off, and I bought a strap, and that works wonders just on my Achilles. And I've used, sometimes I needed more dorsiflexion after an ankle surgery, and stretching just wasn't getting it done. You just sleep, it's like $100 or something, and you sleep with your foot in a flex position, you might only last an hour the first night, but every bit helps, and I think
I'll look into it, bro. But I don't know if I want to sleep in a boot. But we'll see.
It works, dude. I'm telling you, man.
I'll research. I'll research it. I don't mean to be negative, Ethan. I'll look into it. All right, later, pal. Appreciate you.
I'm calling you Booty Smitty now.
Yeah, booty.
Smitty.
You sleeping in a booty, Smitty? Samuel from Atlanta.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. I'll see you again soon.
Hey, get Bijan. All right.
Yes, sir. I'm trying 1-on-1.
All right.
I can trade up.
All right, later. Okafor, final thoughts.
I'll hop back to JSN real quick. Only thing that's stopping me from drafting JSN too much in best ball is Miles Sanders and Cam Akers around. Because usually if I go wide receiver heavy in the beginning, I need a running back. Those two there stop me from doing it. But
well, to each his own. To each his own.
Yeah.
Look, I have the same reasoning why I don't take him sometimes, but it's not because of those two players. I like Miles Sanders a little bit. I know a lot of people love him. Crazy support group for Miles Sanders right now, but I don't know that I love his ADP as much as everybody else, but I understand why people are excited. All right, Okafor, appreciate you. We'll see you tonight. We're going live. First of all, the premiere's in 32 minutes, so make sure you watch the premiere, the Smithers, and episode 1. We'll see you in the live premiere, and then we'll see you tonight. Later.
All right, later.
All right, appreciate you, Okafor. I really do appreciate you, Okafor. I hope you know that. You definitely drive me up the wall sometimes, but in a way that I appreciate. Avi, you've got 10 seconds.
Yo, what up, Smitty? I got a question. Oh, there's a train coming. Saquon Barkley or Stephon Diggs? Who would you rather have this season? You are on the clock.
Depends on the vibe.
Who would you rather have?
It depends on the vibe. It depends on how the running backs will fall. I guess PPR is it. I mean, I normally don't take
PPR,
Barkley.
yeah.
I normally don't take Barkley in round 1. I take him at the top of 2. I don't take him in 1. I like him a lot. I just think he crushes as your second drafted player. But Diggs, I'm taking at the tail end of round 1, so I guess I lean Diggs slightly in PPR. But I like St. Brown and Garrett Wilson and Bijan better. Are they all gone?
Yeah.
They're all gone?
No, I would take St. Brown. I would take St. Brown over both of them.
Okay.
St. Brown and Fields to the moon this year.
But in this scenario though, are those guys all gone, or you just give me a dilemma?
No, I'm just debating because I have 11th pick this year, so it's kind of tough. Like low key, I don't know who. Nobody's trading the top 3 picks this year. I wouldn't either. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm gonna take.
All right. I'll see you tonight.
But,
We're drafting tonight. Later, Avi.
Yeah, later.
This is disappointing to see from you, Sandu. I like Sandu. Sandu's been here for a long time, but rest in peace, Brees, if Dalvin comes. Come on, Sandu. You're better than this, pal. You're better than this. This is falling victim to the hogwash, reporting out there and content creators out there that are feeding you this information. You think Brees Hall is going to be dethroned by Dalvin Cook, who's got a shoulder that's more mangled than King Tut's shoulder? If they were to pull him out and do an MRI on King Tut, come on, bro. Sandu. All right, Ron, final thoughts.
Yeah. Hey.
Yep.
You might be my coach, but damn it, you're still my friend.
That's true. But when I'm yelling at people, we got the cat alarm going off. Let me stop that. But Miss Smitty's here, so we're good. But I'm leaving anyway because I wanna get to the premiere, which is in 29 minutes on the channel. Guys, watch the premiere. It's happening in 29 minutes, and then we come back at probably a little bit after probably at least 12:30 to 1 a.m. tonight. All right, Ron, this is true. We are friends. I definitely, in general, just try and tell people that when I'm screaming at them, it's because I feel like I'm your coach. Doesn't mean I'm not friends with a lot of you and all of you. But I just definitely my content style when I yell at people, it's crazy. It's crazy that people take such offense to it. Not a lot of people. Just there's always a negative commenter who goes, Smitty, the way you talk to people is so egotistical. It's do you want your coach to come in and go, hey, what are we doing today? You want your coach to come in and lead the charge, okay? You want him to say high knees. You want him. You're supposed to say how high, and then you get me a coffee. No, not just kidding. All right, Ron. I'll see you tonight.
All right, later, Smitty.
All right, later.
Later, chat.
Come on, Smitty. Cook to the Jets would be concerning for Hall. I'm not saying, like, I've already gone over this, AC. You're another one sometimes. You just nonstop, just wait. You don't even say the positive things. You just wait until you disagree with something, then you come straight in, which I don't mind. I can take it. I'm a grown man, but I've already gone over this, AC. I've already told you that if you look at this situation with a different perspective, and Corey, appreciate your super chat, but AC, if you look at this as a Breece Hall at 3.1 versus Breece Hall at 4.7, which comes with, I think we're out on this one. It's okay. You get my point if you can read it. 4.7 with Dalvin Cook. Much better value, AC. Get on board. This is where you're going to buy him going forward if that did happen. But there's no rest in peace, Breece Hall's fantasy value of Dalvin Cook lands on roster. Get out of here. You think it's going to replace Breece Hall? Come on. Go get Breece.
Breece Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Breece.
He does a whole of a job.
Breece Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a jale bayot.
Get breached.
See you all on the premiere, T-minus 25 minutes from now. Premiere. It's called The Smithers. It's my little reality show. Kind of like keeping up with the Smithers. Let's do it live in 25 minutes. I'll see you there. And then we're drafting tonight. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Make sure you hit that link that's pinned in the live chat. The link's also in the description of every video. The link inserts promo code Smitty for you. Or just enter promo code Smitty and match up to $100 in your first deposit. Let's ride. And that's right. As 2 Cardinal Arsenal just said right here. 2 Cardinal Arsenal said 23 miles per hour. Dalvin Cook ain't running 23 miles per hour. Dalvin Cook's coming with off-the-field problems that are not resolved yet, domestic stuff. And on top of that, he comes in and says into an interview, yeah, I want to go somewhere where they're all about me, is basically what he said. Get out of here. This is a team affair. I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers wants that kind of attitude or that kind of person on his team because Dalvin Cook is kind of a problem. Kind of off-the-field problem. Sounds like a locker room me person, you know? I want to go somewhere where they're going to love on Dalvin Cook is what he said. No, thank you. But even if he goes there, again, we resort to this kind of information because this is a adjust and adapt season. This is an adjust and adapt channel. And Breece Hall at 4.7 is actually better than Breece Hall at 3.1. So bring it, Dalvin Cook. I don't care. I don't even know that he comes. But if he does, there you go. Do it live. See you tonight. Don't forget that premiere in 26 minutes. Thank you for all the super chats tonight. Appreciate you. Avi, Justin Fields, top 3. Hold on, I missed this one. Russian collusion in Avi. Are you still here? Where's Russian? Russian, $10 hauler.
To the moon.
Moonshot. Avi dropping a, where is this? Avi just dropped one as well. Where's this? Avi dropping a $2 hauler. Justin Fields, top 3 QB. Go get that boy. Fields to the moon. Fields is going to be a top 1 to 5 QB in 2023. Get behind it. Collusion said, best ball mania draft pick 12. Bijan, Garrett Wilson, Gibbs, Watson, Law Dog Addison, Kamara, Ingram. That is a fantastic Smitty-approved team if I've ever seen one, Collusion.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Link is in the live chat. Draft with us tonight. Peace out. Thank you, Collusion. Thank you, Avi. Again, show's moving to 8 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, starting August 1. Learn about it. See you tonight. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.